Ankh's greatest assets. Not only was he a first-rate musician, but there was something about him that made you think it'd be a bad idea to start any trouble. My old friend Nobby from the Watch. I hadn't spoken to him in ages. Hello, Nobby.
Hello, Lewton. How you been keeping?
I've been worse. Of course, I've been better, too. And I've been a hell of a lot better and not much worse.
That's good, isn't it?
Don't worry. If Commander Vimes sees us together, I'll tell him I made you talk to me.
It's not that I don't like you, Lewton. I mean, we was friends and all. But it's just, well...
It's just he'd bite your head off if he saw you talking to me.
He'd go spare.
How you been keeping, Nobby? How's the rest of the Watch?
Not so bad, Lewton. Been keeping myself busy. Been working with Sergeant Colon.
How is old Fatty Colon?
Still fat. I'll tell him I saw you.
No, you won't.
Okay, so maybe I won't. I was just being trite.
Polite.
Yeah, that's the one.
I guess I never really understood why it was that you didn't get kicked out as well, Nobby.
Me? I ain't never done nothing wrong.
Don't give me that, Nobby. When you were serving as quartermaster under the Duke of Pseudopolis, it was widely known that several items from the stores were found in your kit.
That was all above board. I had all the paperwork for him.
Your kit at the time consisted of 2 warehouses. I just think Vimes had a grudge against me.
Lewton, I know you're my friend and all, but you took a bribe.
Are you trying to tell me you never took a bribe?
Never.
The ham from Harga's House of Ribs?
Evidence.
The pocket clock from the Suicide in the Shades?
I wanted something to remember him by.
The money in the petty cash box?
Mislaid by someone.
Misappropriated by you.
I never misanthropated anything.
I just want to understand why it was that you could get away with all your petty theft, and I couldn't get away with one act of weakness.
Well, you see,
Just say it, Nobby. I'm not going to hold it against you.
Well, I reckon Mr. Vimes thinks that a bit of petty theft ain't something to get excited about. I ain't admitting anything, mark you. Nothing's ever been proved. Compared to some of the stuff that goes. But someone who's taken a bribe, well, that's like allowing the rich to avoid justice.
That wasn't why I did it.
I know. But you know Vimes.
Yeah, I know Vimes all right. What's Vimes up to these days?
He got married.
Married? He was only ever married to his job.
Nah, straight up. He married into nobility.
Old Stoneface in the nobility. That'd drive him crazy.
Well, he's sort of nobility himself now.
What?
They made him commander of the Watch. And we got a great new premises down on Pseudopolis Yard. They're full of paintings and vases and all sorts.
Full?
Well, maybe not as full as when we moved in, but pretty full.
I'll have to call round sometime.
Yeah, that'd be good. We got a lot more members in the Watch these days. And we got a new dartboard.
Life in the fast lane, huh? Do you seriously think it's a good idea for me to call around? I mean, Vimes isn't gonna like it.
Whatever you may think about him, he's loyal to his job. I can't say he'll welcome you with open arms, but he won't stop you.
Do you know anything about a man named Mundy?
I'm not getting drawn into anything while I'm off duty. Wait till I'm back at the yard.
Have you heard of the Milka? It arrived in town a short time ago.
How long ago?
3 days.
That's strange.
Why?
Well, there's been a string of odd murders in the last 3 days.
What do you mean, odd? I mean, this is Ankh-Morpork we're talking about.
I'm not sure I should discuss the details with a pavilion.
A civilian, Nobby. How much have you had to drink?
I'm as sober as the day I was born.
That's a frightening thought. I'll catch you later, Nobby. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, don't get caught doing anything I wouldn't do. The captain of the Milka, Captain Jenkins, didn't seem to be a very happy man. Are you Captain Jenkins?
That depends on who's asking.
Don't play games. I'm just after a few answers.
That song really put you in a bad mood, didn't it?
If you're trying to get me angry, it's working.
No need to get upset. You need to drink more and think less.
If I drank any more than I do now, I'd never think again.
That's the ticket.
So, you're the captain of the Milka.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
Ordinarily, I'd be happy being a captain of a fine ship like the Milka, but after this last voyage, I'm thinking of taking up farming.
Tough journey?
I don't want to talk about it.
What was so bad about the last voyage?
I told you I don't want to talk about it.
Sometimes it helps to talk about these things.
Why would I want to talk about it?
All right, let's put that another way. I want to talk about it, and the sooner I finish talking to you, the sooner you can get back to drinking.
By that logic, my best bet would be to just ignore you and carry on drinking.
I was never much good at logic. I did home economics at school. I was hoping you'd let me have a look around on the Milka.
I was hoping that I was going to make enough money to be able to buy myself a harem of exotic dancers called Chantel. But it looks like we're both going to be disappointed.
I understand you were carrying a man named Mundy on your ship.
What's it to you?
I was hoping to find him.
Owes you money, does he?
No, he's an old friend.
Him? You must think I'm as drunk as I look.
Aren't you?
Well, okay, so maybe I am. What did you want to know?
Where is he now?
I've no idea. We picked him up in Sort a couple of weeks ago and we brought him here. That's about all I want to know about him.
Did he say what he was coming to Ankh-Morpork for?
I think he said he was meeting someone.
Who?
Now, I can barely remember my own name, let alone something I overheard through a doorway last week.
The Milka looks like a good ship.
You know nothing about ships, do you? She looks like exactly what she is. A run-down tramp schooner with no future.
Any chance I could look around her anyway?
All I want to do is get the cargo loaded and get out of this god's-forsaken city. I don't need people snooping around on board.
On your last voyage, there were 3 passengers, right? Mundy and 2 others.
You tell me. You seem to know more about my ship than I do.
I just want to know what you can remember about them.
I remember that we picked them up in Ecclepon, and I know they had a lot of cargo. Oh, and one was a woman, and one was a man, I think.
You think he was a man?
There was something particularly foreign about him. I'm not sure what.
Where's Ecclepon?
Up near the hub. God's forsaken place. All there is to do there is drink and eat fish sandwiches with no tops on.
Sounds like a long way from the Circle C.
We got lost, all right. It's easy to mix up port and starboard when you've drunk too much port.
Are they still on board?
Nope. We dropped them in Ankh-Morpork. And before you ask, I have no idea what they were doing here. That's not my business.
I was beginning to realize that Captain Jenkins only had two questions to ask his passengers. Where are you going, and how much money have you got? I'll see you around, Captain. There was an inscription on the crowbar, property of the patrician's palace. I didn't much like being jammed into a crate and loaded onto the ship, but I could think of worse fates. Like being jammed into a crate full of rats and loaded onto the ship. What's your name then, little fellow? The hold was dark and dank, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. The bilge water was littered with flotsam that looked like the remains of a smashed crate. I thought I could see a label amongst the wreckage. I pulled the label out of the wreckage. It had writing on it that I couldn't understand. A bunk bed like any other. I searched one of the bunks but found nothing useful, and nothing I wanted to think too closely about. A perfectly ordinary bunk bed. I searched a bunk and found a small scrap of cardboard. It could have been anything. There was a number on the back, either a 6 or a 9. It was hard to say. I'd managed to remain hidden on the ship, but I knew my luck couldn't last forever, because I'd stopped being lucky around age 12. The first mate looked less than happy, but I don't think he saw who I was as I dived in elegantly onto the Ankh. Fortunately, the crust of the Ankh was soft that night, and I escaped both injury and discovery, although I needed 2 baths just to feel dirty. On an ordinary night, I'd sit around waiting for business. But this night, business was coming to me, and bringing trouble with it. Business I didn't mind, but trouble was an unwelcome guest. And like all unwelcome guests, it was hard to ask it to leave. And by the third day, it was generally wearing your shirts and leaving its stuff in your bathroom.
Hello, Mr. Lewton. I've been expecting you.
I should hope so. This is my office. How'd you get in?
Through the door. It was only locked. I know all about doors.
Good. Use this one to get out.
I have a message for you, Mr. Lewton.
I don't take messages from strangers.
Then let me introduce myself. My name is Mr. Al-Khali.
I don't take messages from dwarves named after cities.
My name isn't important.
You seem to think it was.
I've come to warn you to stay clear of the Mundy case.
I'll bear that in mind. Now get out.
If you don't stay clear of the Mundy case, something untoward may happen to you.
This is Ankh-Morpork. Something untoward may happen to me whether I investigate this case or not. Now either you get out or I'll throw you out.
Don't say I didn't